Bordeaux wobble again, but they're in the semi-finals of the Champions Cup. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Munster actually start this game on the front foot in the opening minute. Farrell carries deep into 22, but there's a knock-on, and then Bordeaux can clear. And against this Bordeaux side, if you don't get a good start, you're guaranteed they will. So they're showing signs already, of the threat that they carry on the counter in the following minutes from there, and then they do strike off the back of a scrum. They shift it right, and there's a kick in behind. Pinot wins the race to the ball to score in the corner. Conversion missed from out wide, 5 points to 0. Munster then win a scrum penalty in their Bordeaux 22, and Crowley makes it 5-3. We then have a Timo check for possible high hit on Tamia Funa by Klein. He's bent at the waist all the way, so it's no foul play. Bordeaux then have a penalty for a ruck infringement, so Jalabert strokes it over for 8 points to 3. Munster line out in the Bordeaux 22. They get it all wrong, and Bordeaux comes stringing forward. They work it wide left. Pinot breaks into 22, then puts a diagonal kick back in field. Munster defenders just completely beaten by the bounce of the ball. Luku dots down to score, converted for 15 points to 3. And that was one of the themes for Munster today, was very passive when the ball was loose. Bordeaux not afraid of the ball when it's bouncing, when it's loose. They're in there getting it. Munster standing off, leaving it to someone else. Munster then go up the line into 22 from penalty, but line out misfires again, and you really feel like they need to sort it out, but they didn't sort it out for the entire game, unfortunately for them. Bordeaux then get the chance to kick to the corner. Munster were playing the ball on the ground. I think it was Tyg Byrne maybe. Then Munster halt them all in the right corner, and then they scramble well to prevent Bordeaux going over in the opposite corner, but they do concede a penalty. Luku then goes quickly, and Bordeaux threatening to go over again, but Byrne gets over the ball to win a penalty for Munster. Bordeaux then slice Munster open, little kick over the top. Two Munster players leave it to each other, and BRE claims the ball. They move it wide, where Echegare steps back inside and finds Samu, who goes over to score, converted for 22 points to 3. And you feel like at that stage, Munster, they need to find something. Bordeaux then win a penalty at the breakdown, but Jalabert off target from the tee. There's then a mix-up around halfway by Munster as Crowley drops the ball. BRE just fights to get to the ball, and then Samu gets him deep into 22. They have a man over out on the right, but they go for a cross kick, and as they pass it, it's almost intercepted by Crowley. Bordeaux strong then the resulting scrum. They move it to the left. BRE steps back inside and puts Echegare over to score, converted for 29 points to 3. And yeah, it's a long way back for Munster from here. Munster then win a penalty, and Crowley puts it, deep into 22. Hell of a kick from well in his own half, and a chance before half time to get a foothold. Then Scannell, he's on for Barron at hooker, but same result, overthrow, and chance is gone. Then Munster goes to the corner from another penalty. Bordeaux collapse them all, and they get a warning for a yellow card. Munster tap and go. They work it up the line. Then a quick pass for Tanankaville, who goes over. Crowley converts for 28 points to 10. And that was our halftime score. Munster then win a penalty early in the second half, and they go deep into 22. They go to the maul. Bordeaux halt it, and then as they move it, there's a forward pass, and always little errors from Munster, stripping them of any real momentum in terms of a comeback. Then win another penalty for offside, and they're back to the corner. They overthrow the line again. Then Kezu goes to the bin as Bordeaux infringe again. Munster up the line again into the 22. Bordeaux steal the line out and clear. Munster then get pinged in the maul, and Jalabert calls for the tee. He slices it right and wide of the post. And it felt like it was a similar position to last week against Ulster. A little wobble from Bordeaux, but you wonder, can the opposition actually take advantage of it? Munster then strikes shortly after. I'm thinking that. Farrell with a strong carry up the middle, over halfway. They shift it left and Smith kicks through, then wins the race to finish in the corner. Conversion from the touchline hits the post, 29 points to 15. Munster then playing it on the ground, and Jalabert is on target this time, 32 points to 15. Then Tom Ahern goes to the bin for tackling from an offside position as Bordeaux break into 22. Bordeaux then drive them all over the line at the second attempt. We have a TMO check. On field, his decision is try, confirmed by the TMO, and that should be a Bordeaux through to the semi-finals. Conversion missed, 37-15. Alex Candlin then goes to the bin for collapsing a maul for the second week in a row. Byrne then playing the ball on the ground, penalty to Bordeaux in front of the sticks. Jalabert makes it 40 points to 15. Sean O'Brien then goes slicing into the 22. Echegare with a deliberate knock on, and he goes to the bin. Personally, I thought there was enough cover for no penalty try, but penalty try is awarded. A bit strange, that one, honestly. 40 points to 22. Munster then come again. Nice little kick in behind, and Smith gathers to score, converted from out wide, 40 points to 29. Then Kazoo gets a red card, second yellow, this time for a high tackle. Bordeaux wobbling again in the last 5 minutes. Munster then worked the ball wide to Abrams, who goes flying down the wing, but Luku with a great covering tackle puts him in touch. Then Munster try and come again, but to get turned over, and Bordeaux break up field. Luku puts Bielbery behind the post, converted for 47 points to 29, and that was the full-time score. So, Bordeaux well worth their win there. Munster had a go at them, but never really looked, honestly, like, they had enough control in their game to be able to actually challenge them once they went so far behind. So we're going to have a look at the stats, and then we'll talk about each of the teams. So let me pull those up now. Okay, so first off, it was 6 tries to 4 in favour of Bordeaux. On attack then, Bordeaux making 372 metres to Munster's 397. So Munster making more metres, but Bordeaux certainly the more incisive of the two teams. 100 carries for them, so 3.72 metres. Pretty easy to work that one out. Munster 109 carries for a very similar return, probably just a little lower per carry for them. Clean breaks then, 12 for Bordeaux, 11 for Munster, and that was off 30 defenders beaten to 24. So, both teams having plenty of chances with breaks. Offloads 11 to 3. Bordeaux always looking to play fast. Munster at times certainly looking to reset. Passes then 110 to 136. And possession 47% to 53, but territory 54 to 46. So both teams, with an edge in each of those. Onto tackles made then 86 to 79. 74% for Bordeaux isn't bad for this level. 63 for Munster. Got to be better, but you're playing a Bordeaux team with so many elusive runners, you're going to miss tackles. Turnovers won then 8 to 2, and that was a big thing in this game. Munster, they had lots of threats, especially at the start. The likes of Peter O'Mahony and Byrne for turnovers, but it was Bordeaux that were actually turning over the ball. Onto set piece then, lineouts won 11 to lineouts 1 to 12. 85% success for Bordeaux, 57 for Munster. One of the top lineouts coming in the competition, coming into this game, 57% is absolutely atrocious from them. Scrums then 8 to 2 in favour of Bordeaux. Both teams 100% in that one. Onto kicking then, kicks from hand, 33 for Bordeaux and just 12 for Munster. So even though Bordeaux were considered the more attacking team, Munster the ones keeping the ball in hand, and Bordeaux kicking for a massive 1,008 metres to Munster's 238. And I'm blue in the face talking about this, that, people complain about kicking, but you look at all of the, most entertaining sides that people love to watch and people hold up as examples of teams that run the ball and do it really well. They all kick, and they all kick a lot of meters. And it's no different with Bordeaux. Retained kicks then 6-3. And yeah, so Bordeaux, like, using their kicking game to, as always, get into good positions, exploit and move around the opposition defense and create those holes that they're gonna, exploit later on. Rooks won then 51-77. One rook lost each, 93% to 94. Then Mauls 6 for Bordeaux, 2 for Munster, making 6 meters to 2 as well, both 100% there. On to discipline then, 14 penalties to 11, so neither team, with very clean records in this one, and then 2 yellow cards each, and then that 1 red card to Bordeaux in the last few minutes. Okay, so let's talk about the team. So let's start with Munster, the losing team. They let Bordeaux get a bit of a lead. They couldn't sort out the line out all through the game. That's a big worry. Well, it was a big worry for them. That with so many experienced players as well in there, that they couldn't sort it out between them. So that's definitely, they're obviously, the next time they play, I think the line out's going to be fantastic, because that's probably all they're going to work on. But yeah, no set piece, like, such an important set piece for them as well to launch attacks off, just meant they were basically like hamstringing themselves because of that. Then, they came back in the second half a little bit, but they were basically relying on Bordeaux completely imploding for some kind of miracle comeback and a win, right? And they came back. They made Bordeaux a little bit nervous, but in the end, never really threatening to actually win the game. But talked about it with Glasgow, yesterday against Leinster. It's the same for Munster. It's been a long time since they've competed at this level in terms of, being competitive in a quarterfinal in a Champions Cup. Yes, they've won the URC recently. Same with Glasgow. They won it last year. But getting competitive at this level is a year-on-year process. And Munster will know that, because they went on that crusade to win the old Heineken Cup, and I remember year on year them producing brilliant performances, but then falling, at semi-finals or finals, and then finally getting their hands on the trophy. And this, again, like Glasgow, can be a catalyst for them to really get back to the top table of European rugby. You can see that there's a core in that team that you can build a really good side around. And they've got to obviously tighten up on a lot of stuff, but when they're firing, the attack is good. When the set piece is going, that can be excellent as well, especially the line out. But it's putting all those pieces together, getting the defense working as well. They very rarely they're putting everything together in one performance. So it's definitely something, new coach coming in next year, there's definitely a lot of positives to take from their run in this competition this year, but definitely not their year. Onto Bordeaux then, could be their year. Another win for them, and to just keep marching on, right? And another good quick start to get themselves out ahead. They have a wobble, opposition come back, then they kind of steady the ship a little bit, then wobble again, and then they go on to win the game. And there's kind of two ways to look at that, right? That the wobbles, there's vulnerability there that maybe a better side can exploit, and maybe, that will be the beating of them. But the other way to look at it is they've come through adversity. They now know how to deal with it. They've been able to, each of the times that's happened to them, they've been able to kind of steady things and go again, and get more scores to kind of pull away a little bit and make things a little more comfortable for themselves. So, just both of those ways of looking at that. But you look at it like their turnover on turnover ball. Well, I was going to say probably. I think absolutely the best team in the competition. All of their players are just switched on. Once that ball gets turned over, then they know what's going to happen. Everyone's there supporting. And that's what's great with them, is that when someone makes a break, they have support there, and it makes it so much harder for the opposition to actually shut it down, because not only do you have to cover the guy who's made the break, you've got to cover the 2 or 3 guys as well who are there to support, for passes, offloads, etc., and just maybe even just fixing the defense for others. So, some really excellent parts of the play, but as well, like, set piece was decent today. Scrum, I think Munster had the nudge on the scrum. So that's definitely an area for them to improve on. But, line out went well. Munster, for whatever reason, even though their own line out was going badly, they decided not to compete for the most part. And maybe it's because Bordeaux have a very good maul, and they were worried about that. But again, we saw with Bordeaux, if you get up and you compete, you can take the maul away from the opposition. So maybe Munster should have thought of that, because I think they only went up a few times, and it was only right towards the end that they actually nicked one against the head. But lots of good stuff from Bordeaux. A few worries from them, but they're into a semi-final now. They fell at this stage last year, losing the Harlequins 42 points to 41 at home. But now, semi-final, they'll be confident going into that. Whoever it's going to be between Toulon and Toulouse, they're going to be the home side in that one. So they'll feel like, they've got unfinished business, I think, going into there. And, whoever it is that comes through is going to be another epic game as well to see who gets to the final. So that's it from me. Let me know what you think down in the comments.